Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, are you ready for another session? Yeah, okay. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Changzhen Wang. I'm a professor in food and nutrition at Kentucky State University. And it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Marga. And she'll be talking about growing and marketing Asian vegetables. Let's welcome Dr. Marga.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I hope you all are not tired by this time. All right, so thank you, Dr. Wang, for introducing me. I'm Srizana Thapamagar. I'm the State Specialist of Horticulture and Local Foods here at Kentucky State University. So I started here January 2024, and I've been working with ethnic vegetables in Kentucky. So I'll be sharing a little bit about this today with you all. So first question, how many of you grow vegetables here? Cool. What are the major vegetables that you grow? So I would like this to be an interactive session because I know it's end of the day. We all need to wake each other up. So we'll do more of the interaction kind of thing, okay? That sounds good? So what are the common vegetables that you grow in your farm? Tomatoes. Beans, cucumbers. Okay? Okra, yes. So many different kinds, right? So have you tried some of the ethnic vegetables in particular? Okra, yeah. And some of the peppers too, right? Like the hot peppers, yes. Yeah, okay. So, sorry? Oh, okay, bok choy, okay, yes, yeah. So I'll be introducing you some of the new ethnic vegetables that I grew at the farm here, and I will tell you why we should probably focus on ethnic vegetable production in Kentucky, okay? So to begin with, this is what a healthy plate should look like, right? So there's quarter of the starch or the carbohydrate, we have quarter protein, but half of our plate should be vegetables and fruits. How many of your daily meal looks like this? Exactly. And I didn't even raise my hand because this is not what my healthy plate looks like. I have more carbohydrate in my plate. So I come from Asia, so I am originally from Nepal, and a lot of my plate, almost half of it, looks like rice, some vegetables, and some protein. But this is what a healthy plate should look like.
And maybe all mixed up together.
Yes. So just the importance of including vegetables and fruits in the diet, right? We all know that these are a very good source of vitamins, minerals, energy. So a lot of the root crops, like the tuber crops, potatoes, sweet potatoes, right? They are the good source of energy from the vegetables. Also for the fiber. And the study says, eat a rainbow each day. So a lot of these different colors that comes in your vegetables and fruits, they come with a lot of antioxidants, a lot of good properties that are included here, right? But now, and I'm sure you all would agree, if you see, now what are our children or the youths doing with the vegetables? Do you see, now, we just agreed that our healthy plate doesn't look like the one in the first slide, right? Now, especially with the kids, kids, the youths do not like vegetables, do they? Now, why do you particularly think that the youths these days do not like to include vegetables and fruits in their diet when it is very, very important at an early stage to have these because they can reduce the risk of obesity, a lot of cardiac arrests, and a lot of those diseases, right? But that is the reality right now. Why do you think that is happening with the youth that we have now?
The parents not eating right, stop by McDonald's and get French fries,
Exactly.
and not salads and vegetables and things.
That is true. That is true. It's the choice that comes from the parents, from our community to right. Now we're moving on to a lot of very easy kind of food, right? The fast food and stuff. But this is really, really important for us to include this as an education for the youth, that fruits and vegetables should be included in their diet. Now, I also teach an undergrad class, and I asked the same questions to my undergrad students recently, and the answer to these questions was, vegetables and fruits are boring. It's the same stuff, right? Corn, beans, every now and then, which is why I was like, let us try to include more like new vegetables, right? So here's the study that looked into the involvement or the vegetable and fruit intake in the youth, and you see the number or the percentage is really low. Okay, 8.5%, 2.1%. Very, very, very low, and this is not good. So as the parents or the guardian, we have to make sure that these all come into the education to our youth, and we start including these in our daily meal. So just to add some diversity to the vegetables in the plate, right? I'll be talking about the ethnic vegetables. So ethnic vegetables are those vegetables that are traditionally grown, consumed, and preferred by specific ethnic groups. So here today, I'll be talking more on the ethnic groups that belong to Asian, African, and Hispanic communities. And I'll talk why in a minute. So these vegetables, they help to add food diversity, they bring in new flavors and textures. And if you notice, the youth, they like to try new stuff, right? They take it as an adventure. So to their boring plate, why don't we add some new adventure in terms of these new vegetables? Has a lot of health benefits. And now specifically, it has a great marketing opportunity too. So some of the popular ethnic vegetables are presented here in Asian culture, in African culture, and in Hispanic culture. And there's more than 100 different ethnic vegetables out there. These are just a list of few popular ones that if you go to the ethnic grocery markets, these are the common ones that you would see. And some of these vegetables, they are common in all these three ethnic groups too. They might be called a different name, but they are the same. It's just that they call it different in their own culture. Now that is just a listing, right? Let me show you the pictures. Anybody know what this is? Correct. That is bitter melon. How about this one? This is actually bottle gourd. So it comes from the same family as loofah. Here's the loofah. And so you might not know about loofah as that, but how many of you have seen this before? Yes, yeah. So this is more popular than the green vegetable itself. So in our culture, in Asian culture, loofah, when it's green, young, this can be used as vegetable. It's very good, has good health benefits, has a lot of vitamins and minerals. But this is what is more popular out here. So this comes out of a mature loofah. So this is the sponge that you can use to scrub your body. You can also use this to do some dishes. So completely biodegradable. You don't have to depend on any other products that you buy from the stores, right? And over here, here's the seeds too. So I have a couple of these out here. So these were grown out at the KSU farm this summer. I just wanted to test how these would do here. And this is the product that we got from. And you are more than welcome to take this home today. And we also have some seeds to take home. So besides that, this is chaide, very popular in Hispanic culture. This is mustard leaves, broadleaf mustard. That is yard-long bean, and as the name suggests, these are really long. So these are similar to the green beans, but they're extremely long, and they have really good health benefits too. How many of you have seen this? So a lot of you have probably seen it, but seen it as weed. This is amaranth, pigweed. Yes. So this is a weed, it is true, but when it's green and young, you can eat it as vegetable. Just cook it as regular greens, like the mustard. Yes, really good. Here's another one. Yes, lamb's quarter. Yeah, and you know, if you go to the international grocery markets, just a little bunch of this would cost you $5 or $6. Yes. Yeah, and we just pull it out as the weed and just throw it, right? But if you know about this, and if you know the market, these go very well, like they sell very well. And these have really high iron content, greater than the regular spinach or cabbage. So really, really high iron content, yes? So some of the daikon radishes, right? Here's some eggplants, and a lot more. This is just to show you like a lot of different varieties in terms of ethnic vegetables that's out there. So in the middle, you can see that is the pumpkin leaf. And if you talk about this in Nepali or Indian culture, this is very popular. This is just a young pumpkin shoot. Very, very good nutrition. So, a lot of research has been done on different health benefits from these vegetables. Now with the bitter melon that we saw earlier, this has anti-diabetic effect. Yes. And now, as the name suggests, it is bitter. Bitter melon, it is bitter. But it depends on how you cook it too. We like a lot of bitter stuff, right? We like coffee, plain coffee. When I first came in United States, my first Starbucks coffee, I tasted it and I just dumped it. I was like, this is too bitter, come on. But then I got acquainted with it. Now I like my coffee, plain black coffee. So this is the same deal too. It might be very bitter for you in the beginning, but the way you cook it, and if you start putting it in your diet, you'll get acquainted to it. But just talking about the health benefits, if you are diabetic, if you have high blood pressure issues, these are the vegetables that you should include in your diet. Here's more research on loofah. Here's something about the turmeric for the skin health. So a lot of research has already been done out there that point out the health benefits of these ethnic vegetables. Now, talking about the marketing aspect of these ethnic vegetables, if we look into the population diversity by race and ethnicity, you can see that the Hispanic, African, Asian, these ethnic groups are constantly increasing in the United States. This is the graphical pattern too, you can see that. So as the population of these ethnic group is increasing in the United States, that means the demand for the crops that they consume is also increasing, right? Now, if we put this in terms of the money, right, because easy to visualize this, so this is actually in the world $1 billion industry. So you see $48.6 billion for the ethnic food market in 2024, which is expected to rise by 8.3% globally. Now, how about the United States? $7 billion industry for this ethnic food. It's, again, expected to rise to $13 billion in the United States. So there's a lot of potential with these ethnic vegetables, besides the health benefits. So currently, there are only few states in the United States that are growing these vegetables, starting with New Jersey, Massachusetts, Florida, New York. So I was not able to find a lot of information about the acreage, the production online, but for Florida, it was about 1,000 acres in 2013, but it went up to more than 7,500 acres in 2022. You can see that jump. And now, I have been to a lot of Asian grocery stores in Lexington, in Louisville, and when I talk to the owners there, most of their vegetables and fruits, they come from Florida. They come from North Carolina, but mostly from Florida. How about producing all those stuff here in Kentucky? Can that be done? That is my next question. Can Kentucky be the next ethnic vegetable and fruits producer and have the same billion-dollar industry here? So, coming into the racial and ethnic diversity in Kentucky, this is where we have it. Again, you see the increasing trend. And over here, the major cities, Frankfurt, Louisville, Lexington, Mammoth Cave, Bowling Green. And you can see those colors, right? The more colors you see, that means there's more ethnic and racial diversity in Kentucky. And this is growing. It is projected to grow exponentially. Same thing, when the population increases, the demand is going to increase the same way too. And instead of depending on other states, now in Florida, when there's hurricane, these vegetables do not make it to the market here, right? But if we can grow locally, and one of the issues that I always have when I go and buy these vegetables, because my main reason to go to these ethnic grocery stores in Lexington or Louisville, we don't have any, I haven't seen any in Frankfurt. My main reason is to go to get the vegetables and fruits, because those are not readily available in other grocery stores, right? Kroger, Walmart, we don't see it. So my main aim is to get those vegetables in there. But the problem that I see is, I go get the vegetables, they do not have great shelf life. They don't last too long. They have come all the way from Florida, North Carolina, I don't know how long through that transportation thing, right? But if we manage to produce them here, we can have fresh, local, and they can have like better shelf life too. Now these are some of the Asian grocery stores in Lexington and Louisville. Again, remember, this is just the Asian stores in Lexington and Louisville. We have a bunch of those already out there. If we include African vegetables, if we include Hispanic vegetables, those, we do have a lot of those grocery stores too. A lot in Louisville, actually. So a lot of marketing opportunity is out there in Kentucky already, so we can utilize that. Now, is Kentucky suitable to produce these ethnic vegetables here? We talked about the market, right? But is it really possible to grow these here? So talking about the Kentucky soil, we have deep, well-drained soil, which is well-suited for agriculture, right? Well-suited for these vegetables. How about the climate? So the humid subtropical climate, the growing season. Now, the growing season is always tricky because of the frost, right? So we have about 170 to 210 days. But if we plan it out right, so some of these ethnic vegetables, they grow well in the subtropical or tropical climates. But if we plan it right, these can be easily grown in Kentucky. And I'll show you the example in a couple slides. So we have this annual rainfall too. So good temperature, rainfall, good soil. So we can do things here. So Kentucky, so the majority of the Kentucky falls in the USDA cold hardiness zones 6 and 7, right? So we have these list of vegetables that can be grown in Kentucky. So a lot of the ethnic vegetables, they belong to similar family that these vegetables are already in. So it is basically just the timing has to be right. So if we have 170 to 210 days range, if we start early, if we start the seeds early in the greenhouse, and once the frost ends, mid-May or so, if we plant them in the field, we can have that 170 to 200 days out in the field, and you can harvest a bunch of these vegetables. So this is summer 2024, and this is at the KSU farm. I don't know, how many of you have visited the field day, which was in July, I believe? Did any of you visit field day? No? So this was during that time. That was the peak period. Sadly, I cannot show this here because after the frost event, the crops are gone by now. But this is what my ethnic vegetable plot looked like this summer. So this is in Kentucky, right at the farm. So you'll see I established a bunch of trellises, which is where we planted our loofah, bitter melon, and yard-long beans. And in the front, you see pretty marigold flowers, right? Anybody know what marigolds are good for, besides just the flower?
Keeps the animals out of the garden.
Cool. Animals. insects, right? So marigolds are great trap crops. So if you put them out in the borderlines where you have the vegetables, these attract the insects before your vegetables do. So they act as the guard plants. So just showing you what my vegetable plot looked like. So I had loofah. Oop. Yeah, maybe not. In the yellow, I had loofah, and the front part, I had okra in the middle. In the trellis, I had some purple and green yard-long beans, so 2 different varieties. And in terms of the bitter melon, I had 2 different kinds too. So one that is commonly used in Indian culture versus one that is commonly used in Chinese culture. So 2 different ones. And on the side, you see every corner, like 4 corners, I had trap crops because I wanted to try more like the integrated pest management stuff. So in the front, as you saw in the picture earlier, I had marigolds. On the long end on 2 sides, we planted some blue Hubbard squash because that is an excellent trap crop too for a lot of pests. And it also gives you squash. And at the end, we had some dragon beans. Again, great trap crop, but it also gives you produce at the end, right? So this is what my ethnic vegetable plot looked like in summer. And this is exactly what we were producing. So in the front, there's a trellis that has loofah. Next is purple yard-long beans. Then we had bitter melon trellis. And on the top, so this was the picture that was taken in July when we had the field visit. So that is the loofah, that is the stage. And sometimes you can also harvest it a little earlier so that when it's young and tender, but that is also the right stage when you harvest them to eat it as vegetable. This stage, if you keep it longer, the loofah matures, starts to produce those fibers inside, and this is the sponge that you get at the end. So that was the farm crew and a group of graduate students who helped me establish the plot and the harvest. And all these harvests that we got out of the farm, we gave it to the KSU faculty, staff, and students. And believe me, as soon as I put this out for them to take it away, just in a couple hours, everything was gone. You can just see like how popular these things are, right? A lot of people, they want to try it for the first time, but there are some who already know about these crops. So every time we had about 7 or 8 harvests, we used to harvest on a weekly basis. It would be gone in few hours. So really popular. So a little bit into some of the vegetables that I grew here. Loofah, again, that's the green vegetable. This is the sponge that we showed earlier. So that's a flower, and it has pretty bright yellow flower. It attracts a lot of pollinators. I had a lot of bee activity going on in my farm. So if you have other vegetable crops, fruit crops too, if you include some of these, they can attract a lot of pollinators for other stuff too that you have in your farm. So it comes from the cucurbitaceae family. It's a fast-growing, warm season loving crop. Again, you saw the trellis, right? So these can grow up to 23 feet long. So you need some kind of trellising that goes in. For the soil, sandy loam, well-drained soil is good for this. So you can do either direct seed sowing or transplanting. Now, for this year, my initial plan was to start the seeds early in the greenhouse and then transplant them in the field. But since my seeds arrived later, I did the direct seeding. It was towards the end of May that I direct seeded these. But you can do transplanting earlier so that you have more growing period for these crops. So for the planting distance, you can use 3 feet between plants and about 6 feet between rows. And harvesting is when the fruits are green, young as the vegetable, and fully mature for the sponge. So a lot of health benefits, a lot of vitamins, minerals that comes in there to boost your immune system. A lot of medicinal properties too, used for anti-inflammation, antifungal, anti-allergy, and a lot of studies have already been done. So most of these studies are done in Asia. We have a question? Yes.
I have just a question about the harvest and then removing the dried skin from the actual loofah. What's your best method to remove
So basically, if you're done with the vegetable aspect of it, right? So you're like, oh, I just had too much of loofah for the vegetable. So you can let it mature in the vine itself. So you can either let it dry, completely dry in the vine, and it's very easy to take it out. It comes out really easy. Sometimes you can also soak it in water. It comes out pretty easy. So my today's plan was to do like a little workshop at the end of this because I harvested a bunch of these. But because it was more of like the cooler climate here, they started to have some fungal issues. So when they were still green, I had to soak them in water and get everything out. So when you actually do that, when they're mature green, so you get more of like this clean sponge than if you wait until they are dry and brown in the vine itself. So it's just up to you what you want. So these are more softer. So these are from the green ones. Yeah. So now next, we always, because this is like a new crop, right? We always think about what can we make out of it, right? How can we eat it? A lot of different ways. So first, stir-fried loofah with eggs. That's something that you can try it. My favorite way of doing it is loofah curry. I come from Nepal. A lot of our food matches with Indian culture. So there you go. That is the loofah curry that I tend to make. And I made a lot of loofah curry this summer because we harvested so much. You can also use it as loofah soup, especially very good in the winter season. Now, some of the loofah sponges I've talked about already. So some of this stuff, the third picture, the first one, let's start with the first one. So the first one, this was from the local farmers market here in Frankfurt. I saw a grower who was selling this, and see, those one sponge was sold for $7, right? If you're tired of vegetables, because when you have the vine, you keep on harvesting a bunch. You can leave some to mature. There you go. It has the purpose, right? The second one is showing the sponge and the seed. So the seeds would be inside this sponge when you harvest these. There'll be like black seeds. Some of them are white seeds too, but white ones are the immature ones, so they do not germinate. Once they are black and hard, that is the mature seed that you can use for the germination next year. So the third picture was also from this farmer's market. Little cut pieces of those sponges, those sold for $2 each. And the last picture, you see, that is this loofah sponge. It is infused in the soap. So this was the picture that I took in Hawaii when we had a conference recently. And that little piece is sold for $7.95. So if not vegetable, there you go. You can use it that way too. So with that, you can basically clean it in hot water. You can also use bleach to clean it. So normally, that is used as the sponge to scrub your body, but you can also use it for the utensils and stuff. You can just clean it casually like the other ones that you use for the dishes too. But just the hot water, bleach would be fine. And it slowly degrades, so until it's working, right? So the next crop that I have is bitter melon. Yes, the bitter melon, that's the flower similar to the loofahs. Again, comes from the Cucurbitaceae family, loves moderate warm temperature crop. The soil, again, sandy loam soil is like the optimal soil for everything, right? But it does very well in Kentucky too. So planting, 1 feet between plants, 6 feet between rows. Again, direct seed versus, or you can do transplanting either way. So harvesting when they are about 4 to 6 inches. And again, there are different types of varieties. So depending on the varieties, the harvesting also differs. Coming to the nutritional and health benefits of it, as I mentioned, if you are diabetic, if you have high blood pressure issues, this helps to regulate blood sugar level. So this is one of the diet that we have in our family because my mom has high blood pressure issue. My dad is diabetic, so this is something, these are the vegetables that we commonly use in our home. So lowers cholesterol levels, reduced inflammation, all of these. Now about the recipes, stir-fried bitter melon, that is how I normally do it. But you can also use it as stuffed bitter melon. and the soup. This is the yard-long beans that I have. So the first one is the purple yard-long bean hanging in there. The second is the green one. So I put both of these on test to see which one does better in Kentucky. And the purple yard-long beans produced so much compared to the green ones. It was way more. And then I'll show you the data too. Here's the flour from these. So this comes from the Fabaceae family, similar to the green beans, right? So moderate warm temperature crop. In terms of the soil, sandy loam soil. Planting distance is closer to this one, 4 inches, rows 2 feet. You can direct seed sow, and harvesting is when they're young and tender. This is the ideal time to harvest it. It's about like 12 to 18 inches long during this time. So a lot of nutritional and health benefits. Again, a lot of vitamins, minerals. They are rich in protein and dietary fiber too. Now, some of the recipes are stir-fried long beans, long beans curry. Again, long bean curry is something that I usually make. Stuffed long beans too. So a lot of different ways you can cook these vegetables and include it in your diet and in your family's diet. Hopefully, the kids and the youths would be motivated to try some of these vegetables and include them in their diet. Now, coming to the yield data that I had in 2024, so I just put them together. I still need to do a bunch of data analysis and stuff, but just a general overview. The first one, the big dark blue one, this is for the loofah, and that is yield per plant. So in terms of the kilograms, we had about 19 kilograms per plant. Between the bitter melons, so Indian bitter melon versus the Chinese bitter melon, they were very similar, but Chinese bitter melon produced more compared to the Indian bitter melon. Now, the purple yard-long beans and the green yard-long beans, you see a clear difference. The purple ones produce so much more. This is hard to get in there. Okay, here. So the green ones did not produce much at all. I would not include this in my next year's plan because that did not do very well in Kentucky conditions. But if you want to do the purple yard-long beans, and the cool thing is, some of these vegetables, although they are colorful, when you cook it, the color tends to go away, right? This doesn't happen in the purple yard-long beans. They still tend to be dark purple when you cook it. So just putting that in terms of yield per acre, this is what we have. I just used that data to extrapolate this in terms of an acre. So loofah, 10 tons per acre. Indian bitter melon, 10 again. Chinese bitter melon was more, 10 tons per acre. Purple yard-long beans was 53 compared to 11 for green yard-long beans. So a vast difference in terms of the production. So overall, there are a lot of different varieties of ethnic vegetables that you can try, right? And based on our research that we did in 2024, it looks like Kentucky has favorable soil and climate to produce these. So this was just in 2024. I'm going to repeat some of these vegetables. I'm going to try to grow these vegetables in 2025 too. So I didn't cover about the pests here because we did not have any pest issue this year in 2024. But generally, when you are introducing some new crops, the first year you don't see much problems at all. But we are going to continue this research in 2025 and see if we'll see some of the common pests, and then we'll try to deal with that one too. So what do you think? Do you think you'll be interested to grow some of these ethnic vegetables in your plot? Maybe just give it a try? Yes, right? Yeah. So now, depending on time, I have a little quick video out here, and I'll play this in the background. So this is basically what we did, how we did overall. But at this time, I want to come up, and then if you're interested to take some of these sponges, you're more than welcome to do so. It's in the front table. I also have seeds for loofah and the bitter melon. So if you want to just take a couple, try it at home and see how it does, you are more than welcome to do so.